set a timer on me, Jenny?
Yes.
I was trying to set a timer.
Sorry, Joanne.
So that way we don't get off schedule.
That's okay. All right.
Somebody sitting
We have everybody?
Good.
All right.
Okay, all right, fantastic. Good afternoon, everybody. If we don't know each other, my name is Joanne Moore. I'm the director of Student Services and the Skilled Companion Program, and really under my umbrella is the admissions process, all the applications that come in, the alumni benefits procedure for 600 plus graduates that receive benefits for their dogs, people that take care of our students, our chefs, our housekeeping, and then also our Skilled Companion Program. So those things fall under my umbrella. But what I wanted to talk about today was really admissions. The process has changed a little bit, but not a lot over time. It has certainly grown. And just really, I just want to share some information with you and then certainly answer any questions that I can. We get about 400 applications a year. And so we have 3 different programs now to break that down into: guide dog program, service dog program, and skilled companion program. The skilled companion program has 5 different areas within the skilled companion program. Kids companions, dogs for visually impaired children. Adults with vision loss who are not in a position where they need a guide dog, but they would like a companion and they might have some vision loss. Military families, somebody with an active duty military person in the family and maybe they're being deployed and the family's being moved around. A veteran, somebody who is retired, away from the military at home and has a need for a companion dog. And the Gold Star family. So several different categories that the skilled companion dogs fall into. So really those categories break down into really, right now we're about 40% guide dog, a little bit more, 40% service dog, and about 20% skilled companion. Our skilled companion program has really grown. It was just children over the years, and now we've added the other 4 categories to it. So that's starting to slowly grow and pick up momentum, and it's a really nice addition, to the program. As far as the application process itself and the admissions process, the biggest change really from the client's point of view, if you were at home and you have a family member or yourself or a friend that wants to apply for a guide dog, service dog, skilled companion, first thing you're going to do is go online and go to the website. There's a heading that says get a dog, and then guide dog, service dog, or skilled companion, pick one of those. It's going to take you to a pre-assessment. Now, we never had this before, and I looked back today. 3 years ago, we were running over 500 applications a year at any given time. And that's actually a little too many. We want diversity, we want lots of applications, but we don't want to be inundated with people when we're going to deny a percentage of those people. We want the strongest candidates we can get who have the most need. So what we did was we came up with a pre-assessment. So a client goes onto the website, starts a pre-assessment, and it's really just about 15 to 20 questions that really identify, does this person qualify up front to get a dog? Do you have more than 3 dogs in the home? Have you committed a felony? All kinds of questions. Do you feel that you have the capacity to handle a 50 to 70 pound dog? Do you feel you have the activity level to give enough exercise to a 2.5-year-old dog? And then if you say no to these questions, or your answer has a negative effect, it's then going to give you a lot of verbiage that explains why this may not be the right path for you to follow. So it's really nicely done to where if it does knock you out, so to speak, it's going to explain why it knocked you out. And then if people have questions, they just call admissions. There's 3 people in admissions all the time, and I have volunteers all the time helping. So people can always call and say, I got kicked out of this pre-assessment thing, what does that mean? And we can go back and we can actually see the pre-assessment, even if it's not finished or somebody got kicked out or somebody went all the way through. We can see it from our perspective. So the pre-assessment is a big change because it really does just cut back on applicants that really aren't ready for a guide dog or a service dog. If somebody wants a service dog and they're asking for PTSD mitigation, but they're not in mental health treatment, or their mental health provider has not given them a diagnosis of PTSD, then they don't qualify. So it doesn't mean that they can't go out and get the treatment needed and get the diagnosis needed, but the pre-assessment is going to pause them and say, hold on a second, I don't want to write you a denial letter. That's not what we want to be doing. Let's just stop now and tell you what you need, in clear verbiage, and let you move forward. So everybody does the pre-assessment, and if you make it all the way through the pre-assessment, everything's fine. We thank you, and within 24 hours, you receive a link to our application. So that's very straightforward. It just comes straight to your email box. You get an application, you fill it out, and you give us the name of your primary care physician, your vision specialist, some references if you're getting a guide dog. If you're getting a service dog, we need a mental health professional. If you're looking for PTSD mitigation, skilled companion side is fairly straightforward. It's some personal references, a background check. If we see any red flags, we can ask for a little bit more. So then we just start gathering that data. The applicant doesn't have to do anything once we have all of that information in place, unless for some reason we're not getting responses from doctors and references. Then we kind of ask them to say, hey, remind your doctor that we need this form filled out. Because this can move really quickly if a client lets everybody know that they're doing this. This can move in a matter of weeks. They could be getting to the phone interview stage or the home visit stage. But things can take months, if we don't get the paperwork back on time, or in a timely fashion, should I say. So my admissions office does all the paperwork, gathers everything we need, and we have 2 times that a client goes through the committee, a committee. So we have a committee of 5 people from different departments, and it's admissions, and it's our, it's Jen Johnson, director of guide dogs. If it's on the guide dog side, it's Lisa O'Kane. Our operations officer, Susie Wilburn, is on the committee. Christy Bain is on the committee. You look at the guide dog side, obviously, with her background in orientation and mobility. So a very diverse group of people on that committee looking at everybody that's applying for a guide dog. Same thing on the service dog side, different group of people, that match for the service dog side. So once somebody has all their paperwork in for the application, the committee meets, looks over the application, and says, yes, let's move forward to a phone interview / home visit. On the service dog side, we do the phone interview first, take a little bit of time, and then do the home visit. On the guide dog side, it goes a little faster. It's kind of like a phone interview and then just rolls right into a home visit. It's just the way it's always been. Our alumni advisors do those phone interviews, and while they're on the phone with that person, unless there's any major red flags, they set up a time to come to the home based on their travel plans. If it's local, fairly straightforward. If it's out of state, then they could be planning to visit other graduates, and they would mix that in with their travels and say, I want to see this person, this person, this person, so I'm going to do a home visit for this applicant. That home visit then comes back to us in admissions with a lot of information on it, which is crucial to being accepted, and it's also crucial to being approved and receiving the right dog when the time comes to match you with a dog. So we get that home visit back, and if that home visit went well, the environment's safe, it's clean, there's no aggressive dogs, the family is good, then the person gets approved at that second committee meeting. We personally make that phone call to the applicant to let them know that they're approved. If it's a denial, it is sent in a letter format, and they do have the right to appeal that. And I've seen many appeals overturned. I write those denial letters, I receive those appeals, and there is an appeals committee that goes over those. And appeals, often get overturned. We may misunderstand somebody, or a doctor may have marked something that they shouldn't have marked. So we go back and we really do our due diligence as far as investigating, were we correct in denying this person in the first place? Do we need to revisit their activity level? Did we think they were more sedentary than they are, and now they're giving us a whole list of their daily routines, and so let's take another look at this and, approve this person. I've seen it happen many, many times. So Now we're at the approval process. We call, we approve the person, and they go on a waiting list now. I've got about 80 people waiting on the guide dog side. I've got about 45 people waiting on the service dog side that are approved. Skilled companion, probably about 20 people, but that's cut, you know, between all those 5 categories. Once somebody becomes approved, then they immediately get an email from Online University, and they start taking classes to prep them for when they come to class. They could come to class 2 months from now, they could come to class a year from now to receive their dog. But in the meantime, and it is now a requirement for them to do Online University and take courses about basic dog care, dog handling, cues and things that they're going to learn when they're here, so that not to be repetitive, but more to let them know what they're what they're walking into, and eventually to kind of not shorten, but minimize lectures and change lectures when students come to class, because they've learned so much prior to coming to class. And if you have a long wait for something, the other nice thing is that it keeps you engaged. You know, you are engaged in what's going on at Dogs Inc. and what's happening and what it's going to be like when you get your dog, and what your everyday life is going to be like, and what you're going to be doing when you come here to campus. So that's a really neat, I mean, that's only been, Online University, I think, has only been up and running for the last year, year and a half, and it just became mandatory over the last few months. And I'll be honest, it is challenging sometimes to tell people that this is mandatory, and that's something that we are working on. But it really is incredibly beneficial, you know, to the applicant when they're coming through the door as a student. And then we make a phone call in person when we find a dog for the applicant. Yes.
Are there 2 online universities, guide dog and service dog, or?
There's a program, great question, there's a program for every program. So Online University, they do amazing work. There's a program for guide dogs, a program for service dogs, a program for skilled companions, and even the program for skilled companions, it's not that intense, but it still needs to be done. And it's still reading and learning about all those basic things that you need to know about having a dog in your home, even if it's not mitigating, you know, certain things for you. And we're, you know, Online University is working on things for our PAC members and things for volunteers and all kinds of things. So yes, they have a very broad range, and it is directed, you know, to the specific program. So where are we now? The person's approved, they're doing Online University, and the next step is that an instructor is going to let myself and my team know that so-and-so has been approved has been matched with a dog, and they'd like us to call them to class. So we have a class coming in January 21st, and we just recently, you know, received those emails. And that's the best part, because you get that email that says, please call Bob into class, you know, for January 21st. And I don't make a lot of phone calls, and it's interesting because when you look at an approved applicant list, you really don't want to call those people, because every time they know an admissions call is coming through, they think you have a dog for them. So if we as admissions people can avoid calling them, you know, we do emails, we stay in touch with them, we let them know that we haven't forgotten about you, we're still looking for a dog, et cetera, but we don't actually want to make that phone call and let them get excited and anticipate that we're going to tell them we have a dog if we don't. So the first phone call usually that we're making to them is, we have a dog for you and we'd like you to come to class. You know, we should know by then, you know, that they're available, you know, we know what their blackout dates are, we know what their lifestyle is, what's going on, are they in school, college, jobs, etc. We have a wealth of information that was gathered during that home visit that helps us, you know, and helps the instructors identify the right dog for that person. So then they come to class. So then, you know, guide dog, they're here for 21 days. Service dog, they're here for 10 days. Skilled companion is a home placement that the skilled companion team goes and does on their own in the person's home. So that's the application process. And the big changes really are the pre-assessment and the skilled companion program being a part of the programs and growing rapidly. Questions? Things I didn't, yes. Yes.
So this online university, is that a separate company that's creating these, or is that actually something that people on campus are creating, the different classes?
It's in-house. It is PAC members here.
What's the question?
I'm sorry. The question was, is online university a separate company or is it done here in-house? It is our PAC members, and they have an office upstairs, and there's, I want to say, maybe 5 or 6 people on that team. And they create all the content. These are people with a background in teaching and online teaching, education, and they do a phenomenal job of building the content, building it for the program specifically, and then communicating with our approved applicants once they're approved and ready, welcoming them to online university. And then there's challenges, because if somebody is visually impaired and they're not very good, with their computer, or they may not have the resources they need, that can become challenging. But the online university team goes to great lengths to make sure that they're assisting people. They might go through a class, over the phone with them. They might do a Zoom call if the person is able to. They get other students involved, so they'll bring 5 approved applicants into a class at once, a virtual class. So they have peers to talk to and to communicate with and help each other. So they really do a phenomenal job, but it is all in-house. Started about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and has slowly built into a just full-blown program for almost everything that we do. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, two things. They were asking maybe what would be beneficial for raisers and communication. I would find it neat to see what maybe some of that online material is, so we could communicate the issue maybe even a little bit better. So if you share a module or something,
No, it's actually a great idea, and I don't know. It's a great question, really, and that's something that I would have to ask the online university team.
Just feedback on something I'd like to see.
Yeah. No, I really, really like that, because it is a little bit foreign to people because it is so new, and so they don't know what to expect, and then people can become a little bit resistant to it for many different reasons. And we want people to be excited about it and learn from it and be prepared when they come in. And eventually it really will truly change the dynamic of class, and you'll get more out of a class, more hands-on, than standing and listening to a lecture at 7 o'clock at night, because you already read that material at home. And there's nothing like hands-on experience. We all know that, especially when you're working with a guide dog and a service dog. You need that hands-on. But getting some basics, on your computer or through these Zoom classes before you ever come here, is really, really huge. But no, it's a great idea, and I can certainly talk to Carissa, is the director of that program, and I can certainly speak with her and ask her if there's anything that she can share. The puppy raising staff, they have, modules of their own, and they have their own, and I'm sorry if I'm speaking out of turn, Kimberly. I don't know if that's already out there, but it will be if it's not, because they're working on every department. But that's certainly something that I can ask her. Is there something that you can put into the puppy raiser world that gives them an insight to what our approved applicants are going to see? I just think it's cool.
Yeah, thanks. And then the other thing, you said you had 400 applicants, and then there's the approval process. And once you get the approval, they get the phone call of signing for the class. Is there an expected kind of washout, or meaning a group? I'm sure they've applied to maybe many guide dog schools, right? And some may have been accepted at other schools that you weren't aware of, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Is there a conversion percentage of applicants to actually approvals to bring
Right.
on campus?
Right. No, it's a great question, how many people do kind of drop off that list. And I will tell you that it's low. I don't have an exact percentage off the top of my head, but I can tell you that I would say it's less than 10%, because the examples that I can think of are, like you suggested, somebody gets accepted to another school. They could have been on our waiting list for 6 months or a year, and they do have applications out at other schools, which we highly recommend, because everybody in the country has long waiting lists. And so they will a lot of times, they kindly let us know that I've been accepted at another school, please take me off your list. But we also try very hard to have a monthly or bi-monthly communication with every single approved applicant. This is usually done by a volunteer that says, we haven't forgotten about you, we're still looking for a dog for you, please let us know. And this is so crucial to the admissions and to the matching of a dog. Please let us know if you have moved, if you have gone to college, if something in your life has changed, if you've received a dog from another school, if there's been a major, life-changing event. If you've moved, we have to come out and do another home visit. We have to make sure that that home is also appropriate as the one that you lived in before. So there's so many reasons that communication many times throughout the year while you're waiting is crucial for us to get feedback from that person. And then there's going to be the people that don't communicate with us. We don't get anything back, it's been a long time, and then we can't reach them, and so people just kind of naturally will drop off. But again, minimal. I think I've got about 4 people on the bottom of that list of 80, I think I've got about 4 people on hold, because we need to find out, are they still interested? Are they still around as far as wanting a guide dog? So yes, there's a natural, a natural progression of people falling off, but very, very minimal. I'd say 5 to 8%. Yeah.
We had an interesting experience, back to the topic of knowing what's going on in the online university that the students are taking. We have a situation where we have a raiser where the husband is approved for a service dog, and while they wait, they are raising
Yes.
a puppy.
Yes.
And there were some times that they were doing things where like, wait, we don't use this. We're like, yes, you do. Just like simple things like a slow feeder. He's
Right.
like, why don't we?
Right.
They went and bought a slow feeder, and we're like, oh, we're not using this more. He goes, yes, you are. It's in the online class. So it is good to know, what the differences are between
Yes.
puppy raisers. I'm sure that's a fairly unique situation.
Right.
But
right.
it is helpful to know what they're,
Yeah.
big picture, what they're going through.
Absolutely, and I'm seeing it more often, or hearing about it more often than in the past, where, I can think of, 2 or 3 people off the top of my head that are on that waiting list for a dog, and someone in their family or themselves are raising a puppy. I have a teenager raising a puppy right now, and she's been waiting for about 2 years for a guide dog. So I think it's wonderful, but you're right, there are going to be differences, and that is very interesting. But we do see that. Yeah, we certainly see that.
Do you solely just stick to the top of the applicant list because, say there's a dog that's ready to go and he's been passed back a few times because he hasn't matched with the class coming in or whatever, is he not matching with all 80 of those people on your list, or is it just like, are you just chunking out the top? You know what I'm saying?
We're not. I can tell you that it's a great question, and we're not chunking out anybody. There used to be a requirement through our accreditation that successors, if you're getting your 2nd, 3rd, 4th dog, that you take priority. It's no longer a requirement. So do we try to prioritize our successors? Sure. But are we going from the top of the list? Absolutely not. We can't.
Right.
And the wonderful thing is we want all these applications, and we want a strong pool of applicants because every dog is different. So I had an example recently where, and I just mentioned to you that I've got a teenager we just had another teenager come into our last class, 2.5 year waiting time because, maybe they walked really, really fast, or they're on their way to college and we need a certain kind of dog. And so they wait so long, and those situations happen. But then I just received a message recently, and they wanted me to call in a gentleman to class who was approved 3 weeks ago. And my first reaction to that is, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, right.
What about all these other people?
Right.
But this is
You have
something
to.
I've learned over the years, is that we have to have the diversity and the approved applicants, because yes, the instructors did go through those other 79 people, and those 79 people did not match the pace, the pull, and the lifestyle that this gentleman has. And so we're going to quickly, get him into online university, get some courses taken, get him where he needs to be, and bring him into class. And we have a dog for him. So it used to really throw me a little bit when the things like that happened, and it doesn't happen often. Our average wait time is 10 months. And so you might as well say a year, but I can tell you that the actual wait time average for the last 3 years has been 10.5 months. And that's very consistent over the last 3 years. But no, there's no prioritization anymore. We used to try heavily to prioritize teens because they came to teen camp, and we wanted to get dogs to them while they're in high school, college. Honestly, it doesn't work, you know, because you may not have the dog for that teenager. They might be 18, 19 and in college by the time you have that match. So it really just has to be all about the dog and the statistics you have for that person and what their needs are. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. Anything else I can answer? Yeah, of course.
Is there a percentage of placements that you need to have to maintain the accreditation? So, for example, what you say was 40%, 50%?
That's applications coming in. So of all of our applications coming in, about 40 to 45% are guide dog applications.
I don't even know what the accrediting body is, but if for the accreditation, does it have to have a certain placement percentage to maintain the accreditation?
No.
Okay.
No, it does not. The biggest thing that we're looking for really is a success factor. There's a couple of different things. We're looking for success factor. So if you look at all of our guide dogs that were placed over the last couple of years, and Jennifer Johnson was just talking about this, how many of those dogs came back from the field for some reason? So she had those numbers and she had the statistics, and based on those last couple of years, there was a 94% success rate for those guide dogs. That's fantastic. Industry standard wise, you look across the country, that really is fantastic. And the other thing is placements. Most schools are wanting to place about 70% of their dogs, meaning that those dogs are successful in going into, a placement of some sort. And we're very close to that, so we're always hovering around that 70% mark. So those are the kind of statistics we're looking for, but are those required by the accreditation? No. The accreditation is more the standards that we meet here on campus as far as the dog's care, how our instructors are handling things, how we're handling the paperwork in admissions, all those things in between that get us, to the end of the line. All of those things are are looked over very specifically when accreditation time comes. Yeah. Anything else? No? Yes.
With the online university, I agree with Chris, it would be great to see a
Sure.
module or something.
Of course.
But do they get feedback? Is it like, just read this and learn it, or are there quizzes?
Constant feedback.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very interactive. There's a couple of ladies upstairs that really, they are interacting with an approved applicant, on a very continual basis, or with a group of 5 or 6 people, answering questions, answering phone calls, doing Zoom classes. It is incredibly interactive. So yeah, they're getting constant feedback. It's not just, read this material and take a quiz. It is, and I've taken the courses myself, and any new courses that come out, they do ask us to test them and take them ourselves, for clarity of the department that we work in. So it's very, it's very well planned out and executed, and then very personal with the people that are doing the class, and very helpful as well. Yeah. But thank you for your time. Where are you guys going next? Ah, okay. All right. You get to go see fun.